In 2023, I travelled to the Indonesian island of Sumatra in search of its incredible biodiversity. While venturing into Sumatra's last remaining forests, I encountered an array of beautiful and bizarre species. Some are the most unique and mighty of their kind, while others are found nowhere else on Earth. And some are among the most endangered species that exist today. This is Sumatra. The first heavy downpour had arrived while camping in the Lhosa rainforest. Different animals can become more active during and after rain, and I thought about the amazing species I might see on the evening hike while I sipped my coffee under shelter. As the sun went down, lesser vampire bats were preparing to hunt insects, and arachnids such as this huntsman spider emerged from their daytime retreats. This glowworm in the genus Lampigera was searching for soft-bodied invertebrates to eat. They possess a toxin which is used to subdue prey such as snails, slugs, and worms. These prehistoric insects are actually beetles, which communicate their readiness to mate with glowing lights on their bodies created by bioluminescence. Adult females retain their larval characteristics and do not grow wings. This is because the males, which look more like a typical beetle, fly to the females to mate. Cyrtodactylus lateralis, a type of bent-toed gecko, was active on the forest floor. This species is likely endemic to Sumatra, based on a reclassification by herpetologist Michael Harvey and his team in 2016. One of its distinctive features is the serrated edge of the lower body and tail. Although this one has a regenerated tail after discarding it during a predatory attack, nerves in the self-severed tail cause it to wriggle on the ground, distracting the predator while the gecko escapes. Suddenly, a mottled serpent figure caught the eye above as it slinked through the vegetation.
So we're out on another night hike here in northern Sumatra, and we've come across yet another exquisite little palm viper endemic to the island, and this one is absolutely beautiful. Look at those mossy greens and browns to blend in with the lichens and mosses on these trees. Brilliant climbers with a slight projection on the nose. Like many of the vipers we've seen in Sumatra, these are also pit vipers, which means they have two heat-sensitive pits between the eye and the nostril. And this enables these snakes to hunt warm-blooded prey in almost total darkness without seeing it, almost like an infrared camera.
Its scientific name is Craspedocephalus andalasensis. The andalasensis part originates from the word Andalas, which is the ancient Indonesian name for Sumatra. In 2006, it was described from a complex of several similar looking species found throughout Indonesia and Malaysia. An analysis of the genetics, scale structure and other physical features was enough to define C. andalasensis as a new species which is endemic to Sumatra and mostly found in the north of the island. As I ventured further, parasitic wasps watched on, and I noticed this huntsman spider, which was probably Heteropoda venatoria, guarding her eggs. Her tiny spiderlings were beginning to emerge from the egg sac, and were taking their first steps into the jungle. While walking through Sumatra's jungles, every leaf on the ground can potentially be interesting. Sometimes, if you look closely, you may find yourself looking at one of the most bizarre creatures in this part of the world.
Beneath me now is one of the most amazing frogs you can find in Southeast Asia. This is the Malayan horned frog, right here, and it looks just like a leaf and easy to miss. And as you can see, it's got these projections above its eyes and even on its nose to break its outline in the leaf litter. Isn't that just one of the most amazing frogs you've seen, staying dead still?
Although comical in appearance, it is actually a ferocious predator. It waits in ambush for invertebrates and even rodents, lizards and other frogs to come within striking range, which are then quickly engulfed by that huge mouth. Its call is easily recognised in the forest, producing what I can only describe as a metallic tonk sound, which travels far and wide through the habitat, catching the attention of its own species. The Malayan horned frog is also found in Borneo, Thailand, Singapore and Peninsular Malaysia. There are more hazardous animals that dwell in the leaf litter. My guide had quite the fright when he accidentally stepped on this large female Sumatran leaf-nosed viper, which was almost invisible in the middle of the trail. She emitted a loud hiss, but thankfully decided not to strike in defence. What a relief! Dealing with a venomous snakebite in a remote place like this would be a serious problem. This served as a reminder to watch where I'm stepping. I was also astonished to find yet another fine example of this unique species. The Malayan horned frog, which was about 100 metres down the trail, could potentially be on the menu for this large viper. However, baby snakes can be eaten by the frog as well. Due to the fact that these vipers can remain in the same spot for days, we crafted a makeshift snake hook so I could move her off of the path in case someone else stepped on her. As I released her, she gracefully slithered through the undergrowth without making a sound. Another closely related species is Craspedocephalus pernicius, which also occurs in Sumatra and has mostly been recorded in the south of the island. The taxonomy and distribution of C. pernicius in Sumatra is not fully understood, and it's unclear as to whether C. andalasensis and C. pernicius are living alongside one another. Some records suggest that they are, but further research is required to find out where both of these species meet in their distribution on Sumatra, or if they are separated by geographic boundaries. I identified the vipers I saw as the endemic C. andalasensis, using the diagnostic features described in David et al. 2006. In addition to being genetically different, one of the main physical differences between both species is the positioning of the supralabial scales on the upper lip. In C. andalasensis, the second supralabial scale borders the entire anterior edge of the heat-sensing loreal pit. In addition, the fact that I saw these snakes in the same forest where many of the studied type specimens were found would increase the likelihood of finding C. andalasensis. Being in the presence of a large specimen like this is a special moment, and let's hope she goes on to produce more Sumatran leaf-nosed vipers in the future. When I was a child, I remember learning about a fungus that turns ants into zombies, which is known as Ophiocordyceps. And on this night in the Lhosa rainforest, I saw the work of Ophiocordyceps in real life for the first time, which was both incredible and peculiar. In this case, one of the largest ants in the world, Dinomyrmex gigas, has fallen victim. The fungus has controlled the mind of the ant to make it climb high up and away from the rest of the colony, making its host clamp its jaws on a leaf. This is a condition known as summit disease. Ophiocordyceps secures its prey further with a network of mycelium, which is a bit like the roots of the fungus. Eventually, it erupts out of the ant's head as finger-like fruiting bodies or mushrooms. The fruiting bodies then release spores from this intentionally selected vantage point, which maximizes dispersal. The spores then shower over the ant colony below and travel through the forest, infecting more ants and restarting the cycle. It really is one of nature's most mind-blowing events, and according to fossil research in Germany's Messel pit, this has been going on for at least 48 million years. It's not just ants that are infected with deadly fungi, as this moth has also been eaten. It's these types of fungi that inspired the video game franchise The Last of Us, which then became a popular television series. Another serpent-like figure caught my attention on the ground. But upon closer inspection, it turned out to be one of the strangest animals I've seen. A predatory hammerhead worm in the genus Bipalium was scanning surfaces with that distinctive hammer shape to navigate in the dark and to detect the scent of prey. Its diet consists mainly of snails, slugs, earthworms, and even other hammerhead worms, including its own species. Once it finds its prey, it uses sticky mucus to adhere itself to its victim while producing enzymes to liquefy its food. It then sucks up its prey through the mouth, which is bizarrely located halfway along the underside of the body. A deadly poison known as Tetrodotoxin has been detected in some species of hammerhead worm. Tetrodotoxin is usually associated with marine animals such as pufferfish, and some hammerhead worms are thought to be the only terrestrial creatures to produce it. According to Stokes et al. 2014, the toxin seems to be used by hammerhead worms to subdue prey, and it has been found in the egg capsules of these worms, indicating a defensive function as well. In some parts of the world, species of hammerhead worm are invasive and are a problem for earthworm populations. Not only are they ravenous predators, but they are also capable of cloning themselves without the need to mate. Even a severed body can regenerate into more fully formed hammerhead worms, which is why gardeners who try to kill them with a shovel can make the problem worse. What a weird yet wonderful creature. Today would be my last chance to film in this species-rich paradise. After admiring the wildlife in camp and having breakfast, we set off for a morning hike in search of this forest's lesser-known species. In my first few steps, I found this prehistoric giant pill millipede in the genus Sophronia. They play a vital role in the ecosystem by breaking down organic matter on the forest floor and returning nutrients to the soil. I absorbed the sights and sounds of this precious forest, while keeping an eye out for animals to film. Suddenly, our eyes locked on to this. Another Sumatran leaf-nosed viper, but this one was exceptionally colourful. I couldn't believe my luck. Khaki green with vibrant pink flecks against a cryptic pattern. It's one of the most beautiful snakes I've seen. It showed similarities to other snakes in different parts of the world. It had the colour of a Mangshan viper from China and the mossy green colour form of an eyelash viper from Latin America, but with the body proportions of the latter. It was poised in ambush mode, ready to strike at any small animal that wandered along that larger branch it was facing. Before travelling to Sumatra, I assumed these snakes were nocturnal hunters, and while they do hunt at night, this finding shows that they are active in the day as well. To see one so conspicuously in daylight instilled further appreciation for this wonderful snake, which is found nowhere else on the planet. The conservation status of Sumatran leaf-nosed vipers is not understood, but finding multiple individuals of varying life stages and gender seemed promising for the health of the population here. However, the forests it lives in have become fragmented and have shrunk in size by over 50% in the last 40 years. My findings are not enough to assess the conservation status of this species, and further research is required to do so. I hope that filming these poorly understood animals in their natural habitat can raise awareness of their existence, beauty, and vulnerability. In the next episode, I go in search of Sumatra's largest land animal.